So for those of you that have been at this channel for a while, you know how much I love to put together farming videos for you, whether it's how to get specific exotics in the game, named items, pieces of gear, whatever it may be. And with Season 11 starting next Tuesday, some of you have reached out and asked me not only what are my favorite exotics or named items to use, but what are some pieces I feel are definitely must-haves in your inventory, and that's exactly what I wanted to highlight today. What's up, my YouTube family? Graybeard with the Gaming Brigade, back with another Division 2 video, and a few things I want to mention as I start this video off. First of all, this is not an exhaustive list. There are so many different pieces of gear and items I wanted to put in this video, but it would make it 30 minutes long. And secondly, I'm only focusing on items that are now available in the open world farming. We're not going to go to DZ exclusives in this video, but I promise to bring you a follow-up for those soon. Now, if you happen to be new here, feel free to hit that subscribe or join button. If you enjoyed this, you could hit that like button as well, and we are having a giveaway for a PlayStation 5, but I will go over those details at the end of the video. Now, the first weapon we're jumping into happens to be my favorite weapon in the game and pretty much what I run with all the time, and that is the Scorpio shotgun. And again, all of these can be farmed either in New York, in DC, you have Countdown, you have the Summit, and in the video description down below, I will leave you a bunch of different links which should hopefully help you out. But you can see with this weapon, it is an absolute monster, especially for run and gun builds, and that's because of its talent Septic Shock, where shooting a target applies stacks of venom, which lasts for 10 seconds. Increasing stacks add more severe debuffs to the target. 1 is poison, 3 is disorient, 6 is shock, and with 7, the target is going to take an additional 20% damage from all sources. So again, all of these items are in the general loot pool, and I sincerely hope you have luck picking them up. Now moving on to the Capacitor, which is another great assault rifle in this game. This is a guaranteed drop from completing certain challenges in the Summit, or it is in the general loot pool as well, and this has the talent Capacitance, where shooting enemies builds stacks to a cap of 40. Each stack grants 1.5% skill damage. After 5 seconds, stacks decay 1 per second. Now the other great part is for each skill tier, you're going to gain 7.5% weapon damage, so for hybrid and skill builds, this is a definite must-have. Now the next weapon we're going over is another exotic AR. This one's the Chameleon, and people really seem to have a love-hate relationship with this thing. You either really like using it or you do not use the thing at all. For me, I happen to really enjoy it, and that's because of its talent Adaptive Instincts. Hitting 30 headshots grants 20% crit hit chance and 50% crit hit damage for 45 seconds. Hitting 75 body shots grants 90% weapon damage for 45 seconds. So for those of you getting used to a weapon like this, just being able to hit center mass and getting that much weapon damage is insane. And finally, at the bottom, we have hitting 30 leg shots grants 150% reload speed for 45 seconds, buff refresh when out of combat, and what's great is you can have all 3 of these buffs running at the same time, which makes this weapon completely lights out. Moving on to Lady Death, and unfortunately, this is one of those weapons that has eluded so many players in the game from day one. I talked to people who have been playing this game since it came out, and they have not been able to pick up this weapon as yet. However, it is definitely worth the grind because of the talent Breathe Free, where when moving, gain 4 stacks per second or 8 stacks if sprinting, up to 32 stacks total. Each round fired consumes a stack, amplifying damage by 75%. Kills grant 20% movement speed for 10 seconds. Now the next 2 weapons I do not use that often, but they are very popular in the game and they happen to be a lot of fun to use. First, we have the Bullet King, which you never have to reload. You pair that with the Striker's gear set. It is so much damn fun. And secondly, we have the Pestilence, which has the talent Plague of the Outcasts, and with that talent, hits apply a debuff dealing 100% weapon damage over 10 seconds. This stacks up to 50 times. And not only that, whenever an enemy dies with this debuff, all stacks are transferred to a nearby enemy within 25 meters. So you pair this with an Eclipse Protocol build with, let's say, the Vile Mask as well. It's one of those lights out builds, which now brings us to some gear. And the first exotic we're going over is the Catharsis. Again, this is all in the general loot pool. I will leave links to how to farm for these things in the description down below, but this has the talent Vicious Cycle, where taking damage builds stacks to a cap of 30. Each stack grants 1% weapon damage. Taking damage at max stacks triggers a purge, removing all stacks and status effects, and then dropping a healing cloud which restores 5% of max armor for 10 seconds for all allies in the cloud. Right below that, we have the Coyote's Mask, another must-have for your inventory, and I know some of these items, or many of them actually, were guaranteed drops in the, reward track for previous seasons, but remember, a lot of people missed out on seasons, so they may not have these items. So this has the talent Pack Instinct, and with that talent, you and your allies gain a bonus based on the distance of the last enemy you hit. You can see there are 3 different bonuses you can attain. All of them are based around crit hit damage, crit hit chance, so when you're running in a group or solo, this is very beneficial. And finally, we have the Vile Mask. And as I said earlier, you pair this with the Pestilence and Eclipse Protocol. It's one of those lights out builds. This has the talent Toxic Delivery, where status effects also apply a damage over time debuff for 10 seconds. Total damage dealt is equal to 50% of your concussion grenade damage and increased by your status effect attributes. Now, most of the items in this video are exotics, but I want to mention a few named items as well, one of which being the Zero F's body armor, because that has the talent Perfectly Unbreakable. And as you can see, whenever your armor is depleted, it repairs 100% of your armor. The cooldown is 55 seconds. So for those of you that are new or just returning into the game and looking for extra survivability, this is something you definitely want to look for. Now we're going to move on to some holsters, or I should actually say one holster in particular for this video, and that is the Waveform. Again, you can farm for it anywhere the holster is the targeted loot. It has the talent Alternating Current, where you're going to generate a stack of 3% skill damage on one of your skills every 10 seconds, capping at 10. After 10 seconds at the cap, the stacks transfer to your other skill. This process then repeats ad infinitum, which basically means it's going to transfer non-stop. So for skill builds, this is a definite must-have. Now, my friends, moving on to knee pads, and there happen to be 2 that I'd like to highlight really quick. First of all, are Sawyer's knee pads. They are a lot of fun to use. They do take a little bit getting used to. They're pretty much cover-based knee pads, but you can see with the talent Stand Your Ground. You cannot be staggered by explosions, but more importantly, it increases your total weapon damage by 3% every second. You are not moving, stacks up to 10 times. You're getting a 30% weapon damage bonus until you start moving again. Then all stacks are lost after 10 seconds after moving. Now, another must-have pair of knee pads are Fox's Prayer. These are the named Overlord knee pads, and the reason you want these is because of that middle attribute, 8% damage to targets out of cover. It is not about the rifle damage that you get. That's why you're going to see this used in so many builds, because of that middle attribute. And that also holds true for the Contractor's Gloves as well, because that has the middle attribute, 8% damage to armor. You combine both of those together, it is such a powerful combination. So again, regardless of some builds, sometimes you're going to see those 2 together regardless of the primary and secondary weapon. And it's because, as I said, combined, they are very, very strong. Now, the last thing I want to show you today, and in my opinion, the best exotic in the game by far, is the Memento backpack, and that is why you see it in so many different builds, because of the talent Kill Confirmed, where enemies you kill drop a trophy on death. Collecting trophies provides both a long-term and short-term buff, the first of which scales with the number of core attributes equipped and lasts 10 seconds. You can see this weapon damage, bonus armor, skill efficiency, so no matter what type of build you may be running, this is definitely a bag that you may want to consider adding to it. Now, as I start to wrap this video up, and most of you know this, but one of my favorite aspects about this channel is the family that we have here. So as always, if you have any questions, comments, feedback, different weapons you love to use, pieces of gear, let me know, as the main goal is to help out as many people as we can. On that note, I'm going to let the rest of the video play out. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of this thing, we are currently having a giveaway for a PlayStation 5. To enter, all you need to do is subscribe here or follow on Twitter, and the winner will be announced May 4th of this year. As always, I want to take a moment and thank you all for your incredible support of this channel. As promised, in the video description, you will see links to a few different builds I put together, some farming videos as well, and as always, take care of yourselves, be kind to each other, and we will talk to you soon. Thanks again, everyone.